ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಸಂಜೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. I wholeheartedly welcome everyone to Science Sanje series organized by Kalasuruchi and Kutuhali. Today's honorable guest is Dr. Mewa Singh. He will be giving a lecture on the topic of primate behavior and conservation. Primate ನಡವಳಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ. A little introduction about our esteemed guest. Dr. Mewa Singh is an Indian primatologist, ethologist, and conservation biologist. He did his master's in Punjab University, Chandigarh, and was a research fellow in Meerut University and University of Mysuru. He was a professor of ecology and animal behavior at University of Mysuru Biopsychology Department. Currently, he is a lifelong distinguished professor in University of Mysuru. SERB's research centers on primate social behavior, including conflict resolution, cooperation, inequity aversion, food sharing, etc. He is the author of the book Primate Societies and co-author of Macaque Society, a model for the study of social organization. He has published more than 200 research articles on several animal species. A new night frog referred to as Mewa Singh's night frog has been named after him, which is endemic to the Western Ghats. Dr. Mewa Singh is a fellow of all three science academies of India: Indian Academy of Sciences, Bengaluru, Indian National Science Academy, New Delhi, and National Academy of Sciences, Allahabad. He is also a Ramana Fellow of Department of Science and Technology, a Fellow of National Academy of Psychology, India, and a distinguished SERB Fellow. He has received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the International Primatology Society. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Mewa Singh to Science Sunday. Welcome. Now the lecture, Primate Behavior and Conservation, Primate ನಡವಳಿಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ. I request everyone to switch off or silence their phones. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, namaskara. I was born in Punjab, spent my some time in UP, I have spent a lot of time in Karnataka. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ತಾಯಿಯ ದತ್ತು ಪುತ್ರ. Okay, Maharaj, it's a little difficult for me to speak in Kannada, although I can keep mixing. But you are free to ask me anything in Kannada. I'm perfectly okay with Kannada language. But even in classes also, I could hardly ever teach in Kannada because it's difficult to formally speak in a language that you don't have a mastery. And I would also try to be very informal in my talk. I don't want to become one of those stuck-up scientists, the kind of talks which I give in science academies. I have put some material together. Most of this work you would be very familiar with because some of the works are done here in Chamundi Hill or Bangalore Road and all such places. But the work has got international recognition. I mean, all my scientist friends and students here know in what kind of journals we publish these researches. These are some of those very top class science journals. Now let me just start with this. Okay. Most of the times, my talk will be in two parts. The first part, as I showed, I will be talking about primate behavior. Primates, you know what primates are? Primates are monkey-like organisms. I mean, they are like us because they have two arms and they have two legs, unlike the other mammals which have four legs. And they have, like us, they have two hands and the 2 feet. And they have their different reproductive system and so on. I don't want to get into those details, but you understand what primates are. Monkeys and then also chimpanzees and gorillas and so on. So I would talk about a little bit about the kind of behavior work which we do, some of the recent work which we have done, which would be of general interest. As I said, I won't go into some of those mathematical models of science and so on. Some work which would be of interest to anybody. And I can always challenge that I can convey my science, go in a primary school, which I have done. That I would go and talk about my science and make sense in a primary school also. And some of the second part would be a little bit about conservation, which I want people to understand, to know, because You would see later on what kind of questions would come from people. But I want the people to know before asking such questions, know the situation of the monkeys. Okay. Now, some of the animal species are obligatory forest dwellers. Tigers, for example, are normally forest dwellers, they normally don't come out. Some of the animal species have become obligatory commensal. By commensal, we mean they live along with people. They sometimes share not only the habitat, they also share resources with people. Like house sparrow, for example, never lived in forest. House sparrow is totally commensal, totally animal which a bird which lives with people. But there are some animal species you can find them in forests also, and you can find them in cities or in the villages in urban areas. And some of these monkey species are like this. Now we have, for example, the bonnet monkey, which we have in South India. You can find them, a few of them, in the forest areas, but they are largely there in the urban areas. Now, what we have been seeing in our ecological studies, we have done a lot of other things on their demography, on their behavioral patterns, and something that these monkeys in urban areas, they come across food items which are very different from what the monkeys, the forest areas come across. In the forest area, they don't have to do much of a food processing or extraction. The food is directly available. Most of the fruits don't require any kind of extraction or processing. But these urban monkeys, they are most of the times they get the food which is encased, which is packaged. You see there anywhere people throw packages. So these monkeys have to open these packages. So this requires two processes that sometimes the monkeys require to extract the food. And second thing is that sometimes the food is not edible. They have to make it edible. So they have to process it. So these two processes are very important that these monkeys in urban areas have to extract food and sometimes they have to process food. Now, in the process of doing this, they have developed fantastic, we studied from a evolutionary point of view, they have evolved techniques which we cannot even imagine that the forest monkey would ever develop those kinds of techniques. You can understand what we people do as compared to, let's say, Betakurpa or Jinukurpa, what those people, their lifestyle and our lifestyle. And these monkeys, this is what I would be talking about. How in a different ecology, how in a what we call altered ecology, how they have developed due different kinds of adaptations and different kinds of skills. I will talk today only about two species of monkeys. For this one is we have been doing long-term studies on this monkey. This is called Nicobar long-tailed macaques. Now these monkeys are found only in 3 islands in the Nicobar. They are not in the Andaman Islands, in the Great Nicobar, Little Nicobar, and Kachar. And very little was known about these monkeys. And we started this work about 15 years ago and established field stations there. And now a lot of students have done PhD under me and Dr. Kumara from Salim Center, Coimbatore. So we have been carrying out these studies. And one aspect I want to talk about these monkeys today, about food extraction, is that some of these monkeys have become dependent on coconut. Now imagine how easy or how difficult it is to extract an edible resource or out of a coconut. Imagine you get a coconut. If you don't have a katti, if you don't have anything, knife or something, try to get the edible parts of a coconut. Now think of the monkeys extracting food, and nothing can be more complex, nothing can be more difficult to process, and nothing can be more interesting for us to see how these monkeys process coconut. Now these monkeys, most of these monkeys are living in the forest areas. Here, I'm sorry, you don't have a pointer. This G3, G4, these are groups of monkeys which are living, most of them are in rainforest, dense forest in Nicobar. But some of the monkeys, like there on the right side, some of them have been living very close to people for centuries. Because there are some tribe groups, they live in coastal areas, and the only agriculture they do is coconut. The only farming, not agriculture, the farming they do is coconut. So some monkey groups have been dependent on coconut for very, very long time. And then in 1960s, when after Mrs. Gandhi, thought that these islands are lying waste there, let us establish, these islands, let us, let people go. Who else will go there? The Punjabis. So you have all the towns there, Bakhtavar Singh town, Joginder town, Harbinder town, all these small places there. So most of these retired army people were established in those islands. And they also started cultivating coconut. So some monkey groups have been exposed now for about 60 years or so. And then in 2004, there was this massive tsunami. And tsunami destroyed lot of areas, lot of coastal habitats. So some more groups of monkeys have come to visit these coconut plantations. And some of the groups never come to coconut plantations. So for us, it is like a laboratory there. So you have these monkey groups which have been exposed to coconut for probably centuries. Then for some for about 5-6 decades, some for about 2 decades, and some do not depend on coconut at all. So we did some very simple experiment of familiarity. So these students of mine, we know the evening where the monkey group sleep today, because we know there are sleeping sites. You know, if the monkey group is going towards their sleeping site, we keep these fruits on the way. You know, we have six different phases of coconut, but we use only two. P2, you can understand, is totally green when it's not open, and P6 is the right one. So we kept this, on the way. Now these two monkey groups, G3 and G4, they are forest groups. They picked up some fig or we kept some other fruits also which are normally available in that forest. They picked up those fruits, but they didn't even look at the coconuts. They didn't even bother to look at. And G2 is a group which is in the forest, which occasionally comes to a coconut plantation. Now this you can understand that P2 would be the most difficult one to open, the green one. So it didn't bother about P2, it picked up only the right one. Whereas this urban group, the first one thing in the you know what the monkeys would do. You have to give them two coconut. First thing they would do, one. So these monkeys did this is what picked up both and ran. This was just to see the familiarity with the coconut. We studied several kinds of things in them. Now, I could just show you a couple of slides, a couple of videos of something very, very interesting. You know, coconut pounding. Imagine if you have a ripe coconut, even then, you have to break it. Now, how do you break a coconut, which is the ripe coconut? Suppose you start hitting this on leaves, it won't break. Suppose you start hitting it on sand, it won't break. We would of course hit it with something else. The monkeys don't use that kind of, fortunately, they don't pick up hammers, otherwise I don't know what they would do. So they don't pick up something and start beating or hitting it. No, they have to break it on ground. So look at the development of those cognitive processes or cognitive intelligence in these monkeys. That they have to find out this coconut, then they have to find out in proper animal. Where is that hard place where they can go and pound it and break it? And look, they go on searching for the place where they can take this. Okay, so this is where they would go and pound and break this coconut. Now this is the kind of habits, but I want to show you that these are never seen in any kind of forest groups. All these behaviors which you are saying are all typical urban monkeys. Even the semi-urban groups have to come to even foreign monkeys later here in Mysuru. Even the semi-urban groups won't show these kinds of behaviors. And another typical behavior which we saw in them was that the coconut sometimes has thorns because they find them in the mud and sometimes there is a mud over it. They need to clean it. Or either they clean it or what they have to do is they wrap some leaves or twigs around the coconut so that they can hold it and eat it. Now, this is what is known as tools used in animal behavior. What is a tool use? When we are using an external object which is not meant for that particular kind of a purpose, but we use it for a different purpose, we call it a tool use. It was once upon a time said, humans are different from animals because humans use tools. Later on, it was found that all kinds of animals use tools. There is abundant amount of evidence in nature that the animals make use of tools. So, then we started defining humans. No, humans are the ones which make tools out of tools. Okay. So these monkeys, now you look at this typical tool use behavior in these monkeys, taking these leaves, twigs, etc., wrapping around the coconuts. So this has become, even when they are no mud, for example, this behavior has become typical in them. They go and take these leaves or twigs, they go and wrap around the coconut before start processing. And not only that, you see here making a tool. Look at the sequence of four behaviors. I said, humans are, make tools out of tools. Look at this, the first A and B, detaching the twig using teeth, using hand to detach it. Then look at it so neatly, just like we would do, putting it Very seriously, this monkey seems to be behaving and putting this twig around the coconut. So this is now it is not directly available. This twig is not directly usable. This leaf is not directly usable. It is doing something to that twig. It is doing something to an object to make it a usable tool. So this is what the exact definition of making tools is. So not only that they make use of tools, they also make tools. Another thing which we saw, which was very, very interesting behavior, which got publicity in the top journal in the world called Science, is teeth cleaning. So these monkeys do flossing. They take bird feathers, they take thin wires, or they pick up a piece of cloth and they take threads. Because coconut, when you eat, it gets stuck in the cavities. Now they have to remove it, otherwise it would start stinking. Now look at this, the way sophisticated behavior in this monkey. And this is the bird feather. And they use all kinds of materials, different kinds of materials to clean their teeth. So these were some of these behaviors which we saw in urbanized monkeys in the Nicobar Islands. Let me come closer here to the wild monkeys here of South India. Here, see, I am basically an ecologist. I started my research also in some sort of semi-field experimental work in Himalayas. When I was in Meerut University, I started my research in when I don't do that kind of things now anymore. But the work was, because of my basic degree in psychology. And I was working with a professor that we used to catch monkeys and we used to open up the brain and do lobectomy in different regions of the brain to study what deficit in behavior occurs if you do the damage in the brain right from the medulla and these areas to selected areas in the prefrontal cortex. I did that kind of work for about a year in Himalayan forest and left it. That kind of work because I realized there is enough in nature to see. I don't have to do those kinds of dirty things with these poor animals. There is enough to see in nature itself. So this is the bottom monkey of South India. I have been doing ecology. Most of my work, all my students like Anand is sitting here. They have been doing all ecology work. Anand did PhD on elephants in Anamrite Tiger Reserve, where he continues to work on elephants there. And in Hassan, you must be reading a lot of papers all the time. These problems with people. That's where he is not trying to solve all those problems with elephants in Hassan. But about 10 years ago, some of my students again got interested in doing some kind of field experimentation. So this was work done by some of these people, basically all about food extraction. We selected some groups of monkeys. We had different kinds of, I will come to that later on. Some monkey groups which are used to people. And we selected the group in Chamundi Hill, the temple group. See, that is a group which is totally dependent on human food. Chamundi Hill has 7 groups of monkeys. I have to come to the other one. There is one in the footstep, step there is a first small temple. You start the steps to go up. And then there is one monkey group near the Buddha temple, then there are other 4 groups which are spread all over. And so we selected this group in Chamundi Hill, which is totally dependent on humans for their food. And then we also selected some groups in the villages. There are some groups we selected in Betarli, and that is near Talkad, that area, and some other villages around, where the monkeys had very little exposure to people. So first we thought of doing these experiments. This was giving an object which is unfamiliar to them, both of them. So we got for some 35 rupees, we got this mouse trap. Also, please notice, people think that to do research you need billions of rupees, and to do experiments you need big laboratories and lots of money. And this costed us some 40 rupees, this mouse trap. So what we did here was that we put some food in it, and we presented it to the monkeys in these different areas. And this is the way these monkeys open. See, this is not an easy task. If it is totally open, you can just take the food out. But remember that this is a spring-laden trap, mouse trap. So you have the lid. If you use one single hand, it will snap back. So the monkey needs to have a skill using both hands. That you use one hand to open it, hold it, and then use another hand. Actually, these experiments I'm not talking about that today. These were done for a totally different work. What is called hand-shoe clarity. Whether the monkeys are left-handers or right-handers and all, that's a totally different story. And that is pure science, which I'm not talking about in today's talk. And this is the experiment. So we did this both with the urban monkeys, with the Chamundi Hill, and with that rural monkeys. and look at the difference. You don't bother too much about the data, but it illustrates. And you can see that this pattern here, more than 60% monkeys in urban areas were able to get food, extract food, whereas about 30% only in the rural areas were able to extract food. Now the next experiment we did was to give them some object which is familiar to one group but not familiar to another group. And what would be that? We selected a coconut, a Coke bottle. Okay. So we purchased a Coke bottle. Look here, the seal is intact. So we drilled a hole. I paid the money and the students grabbed the Coke. So drilled a hole and took the Coke out and I put a little bit of sweet lassi in it. This is sweet lassi. And this was presented to the monkeys. This was one of the very fascinating things to see how the monkeys tried to extract that one. Some of them, would simply struggle and do something and leave, get frustrated, and some bite. And some of them wasted a lot because they would bite, 2 or 3, teeth, and then it will be spilling all over, and then they would drink some and waste a lot of it. But the most sophisticated technique would be, look, this is the ring. Okay. First, we have to break the ring. Now, look at the whole sophistication of this behavior. This is exactly the way we would do. You don't directly start opening it because you know that there is a ring for the seal. So, and there are those teeth-like things, and you have to break those. Take the ring out, and then you open it. Now, look at this behavior once again. How this monkey is. So, it uses a canine first, break only that seal, that ring, the small ring, removes it, and then takes the resource. And look at this behavior. This right side, the temple group. Nobody ignored. Everybody tried it. Okay. Everybody attempted it. And more than 60% used this kind of sophisticated technique. All of them drank milk. Okay. But more than 60% of them used this sophisticated technique. The rural group, not even one was able to get food. Not even one was able to extract the resource out of this. And then what we did in the next experiment was that we select the gradient of exposure to people. We selected one group which is Chamundi Hill again, on the temple. Select another group which is down there, the first temple, when you start climbing steps. It is also exposed to people, but not that much exposure as the Chamundi Hill temple group, because they are totally dependent on people there. And then we selected the third group, which was, that Betalli village, which is totally, is Patti Betalli, that village, which is about 60 kilometers from here. And those monkeys have no provisioning, they are not exposed to people. And what we wanted to study in that was extraction of food, and out of what? Very, very expensive material we used. Okay. We used peanuts, and we made a perfect what? These Nima and Anand would talk about if they are giving a talk, scientific talk, 2x3 factorial design. Okay, it is 2x3. You have form of peanut, three different forms, three different states. You have native shelled skins, you have raw, roasted and boiled, and you have, look at this, you have 9 different forms given to the monkeys. Now I won't talk about all these things because of the time. I would just talk about this one, which I have just marked here. Understand, this one is a shelled roasted peanut. Shell is removed, but the peanut has been roasted. If you roast muddy peanut, that skin will be, it becomes darkish. Okay, you can't eat it, it will be very bitter. So normally we would remove it. That skin will be removed before we eat. So this needs some kind of a processing before we eat this. So this is something really fascinating if you look at this. How do they remove the skin? Now some of the monkeys use this behavior. They simply put this peanut in the mouth, keep on rolling. Look here. And then the skin comes out and they spit it out. What they do here is they take so much of time, and it is a very inefficient kind of a behavior. Keep rolling. And then another kind of behavior which some smarter monkeys do is The first one what we call the use of mouth only. Okay. Now this is use of hand and mouth. It takes the seed with the hand, takes it to the teeth, and just removes the skin. Right. Then there is a third kind of behavior which the monkeys used, and this is exactly what we would do. What? Finish, right? Okay. So you can just do it like this at its speed. And there was another monkey which thought, this is a stupid monkey. There's another monkey which is a smarter one. Why use two hands? This monkey used two hands. Just to it up on the ground and it's done. Okay. It is skin. The skin is removed. Who did this? First of all, what we call palm rub and rub ground are novel behaviors. This is a really emergence. We have looked at it. These people again, Rima and Anand would know the journals where these are published. The first paper published behavior. It's the journal started by a Nobel laureate. And second paper is published in the American Journal of Biological Anthropology, one of those top ranking journals. And this is where every scientist would like to publish. So these two are efficient techniques, but we call them emergence of novel techniques. This palm rubbing and rubbing on ground, you can see the time taken is much lesser than the other behaviors. So these are most efficient techniques. And who did this? If you look here, this is no skinning, eat it as it is. Okay. So all mixed. And this is using mouth only, using hand and mouth, and using those techniques, which are the novel techniques, those indigo color, are all urban monkeys. Two urban monkeys actually went there, used hand and mouth. But rest all urban monkeys use these two techniques, rubbing and palm rub and rub ground. Whereas these other, including the down and the temple, they're those monkeys. These monkeys never use these behaviors. Not even one monkey has shown these kinds of sophisticated behaviors or these novel foraging skills. So this is what now forget about all this, whether these are phenotypes, these are phenotypic plasticities, this, that. The whole idea is that the animals, the monkeys which live in these urban areas are exposed to very different kind of resources which require very different kind of processing. That processing leads to the evolution and emergence of new kinds of skills which the monkeys in rural or forest areas. Why I am not showing this in forest areas? Why we did these experiments in rural areas? Because all our work in tiger reserves in forest areas, we are not allowed by law. We won't go and feed the animals in the forest reserves. So you shouldn't feed the animals even here. So we'll come to that later on. And this, we cannot do these experiments in the forest because some experiments require some kind of a food offering. So we cannot even allow that kind of experiment in the forest. So all these rural areas experiments were a kind of a proxy. So this was the first part of my talk. And the second part, I want to keep some time for discussion, is about conservation. Now, I would talk quickly about three primate species here. One is a typical forest dweller. It is the lion-tailed macaque. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. It is the Singhalika. So if you go to this Christ Public School, Lili Pakadalli, Mane Hesru Singhalika. So this is that monkey which is found only in the Western Ghats. And then the bottled monkey which is common. And another monkey I will come to later on, which is called the slender loris. So quickly I talk about these because they represent three different kinds of conservation situations. They represent three different kinds of conservation issues and different kinds of management strategies. How do we manage our wildlife? See, first about the lion-tailed macaque, as I told you, is endemic to the Western Ghats. By endemism, we mean it is found only in a described place. It is found only in the Western Ghats. This monkey is nowhere else in the world. It is only in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. And there also, not all Western Ghats. It is only these rainforests, like Illinamdu, Brahmagiri, Makutri, Kudremukh, all these places in Karnataka, we have several groups. And likewise in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, only in the rainforest. And there are about 3,500, 4,000 individuals left. But even these individuals are fragmented in 49 different subpopulations, where hardly any other we have found now, where actually there is only one viable population which we have found. So basic problem of this monkey species is that it is number one, it's very small in numbers, and whatever numbers are there, they are totally fragmented. And what we need for population continuity is large populations in one place where there is a dispersal, where there is a gene flow, where there is a healthy, genetically healthy population, which is not the case in this monkey. This is a very typical monkey. It eats fruits, it eats animal matter, and where would they get all these throughout the year? Only in a rainforest. So they live only in the rainforest. And then since these things are never abundant, they are always found in very low population densities. And they also have a very peculiar thing about their reproduction. These bonnet monkeys which we see here, a female starts reproducing at the age of 2.5, 3 years. These females wait till 6.5 years for reproduction. And then these females, bonnet monkeys, they produce every year their offspring. And these animals have an interval of 30 to 36 months. So in her lifetime of up to 18 years, 19 years, she can only produce 3 or 4 infants in her lifetime. If half of them are males, which are useless in every species, and it's only the females which matter for population continuity. So only 1.5 to 3 males she will introduce in her lifetime. And those, in other words, the population can only remain stable if no poaching, if no hunting, if nothing happens. Even then, these animals can simply remain stable. This is by their biology. It is simply dictated by their biology. Now, these are typical threats to them. I will just come one by one. Lot of our work has been done. This is where Anand did his PhD on elephants. He actually started working with me on these monkeys in '94. And for 7 years, he worked on the monkeys. Then he shifted to elephants in the same region. This is called Anamalai Hills, from about 100 kilometers south of Coimbatore. And this is a very interesting place in the Western Ghats. You have the maximum east-west span. The Western Ghats are like standing like a wall in many places. And this has several kinds of forest types. So all kinds of forests are available here. And typical, this is the dry deciduous scrub jungles down, and then you have vast stretches of what we call deciduous forests, and then you go up, you have these rainforests, and you go up, you get these grass hills on the top. So you have all kinds of habitat types, and has all kinds of animals. Say now, just to give you an example, look at this. I am giving this as an example of a very prime area. The Anandai Tiger Reserve is one of the best conservation areas we have in southern India. But look at this. You look at these dark green patches. This is how the rainforest is. The rainforest, which was once upon a time, this light green, this is where the tea plantations are. All this region, the western region, was once upon a time all rainforest. Some 200 years ago, British people started opening these forests. They started there growing tea, and this has happened throughout Western Ghats. Either tea plantations or coffee plantations. And most of these rainforests have become largely fragmented. So in these fragments, the monkeys are like this. In one fragment here, there are 5 groups. Another fragment, there are 4 groups. There are 7 fragments where there are 2 groups each. There are 8 fragments where there is only 1 monkey group each. Now understand that lion-tailed monkeys do not leave the rainforest. They do not make use of roadside trees. They won't run on the ground to go to the other patches. Imagine for the last 100 years or so, there is a forest fragment. There is a group of some 15, 20 monkeys breeding among themselves, all kinds of biological consequences of it. And they have been simply there for decades. And this can happen, can create all kinds of biological problems. And this is the situation for most of the lion-tailed monkey groups in the Western Ghats. So main problem of monkeys is fragmentation or come. The first step which we have been doing is identify viable habitats of lion-tailed monkeys. So what we did this was, we were doing some other studies and we came across this region. This is 4 ranges in Sirsi, Honavara forest divisions in the North Karnataka. We were doing some other work, but we suddenly found in that area when we were doing surveys that there were 32 groups of lion-tailed monkeys, 47 groups of bonnet monkeys, 151 groups of Hanuman langurs, and this is largely a contiguous forest except a few enclaves, some small villages, Hegde-mane, Bhatt-mane, that kind of thing, there are 2 houses, 3 houses, and some, but it's all contiguous forest. Nowhere in the Western Ghats we have 32 groups. Silent Valley, so much talked about, has only 16 groups of lion-tailed monkeys. Where we keep Silent Valley, one place for lion-tailed conservation. We found this place with 32 groups of lion-tailed monkeys. And this was way back in early 2001 or so. And once we did this survey, we found this region, we gave immediately a plan to Karnataka Forest Department. This is an ideal place for private conservation with special emphasis on lion-tailed monkeys, because this is an endangered species. Lion-tailed macaque is one of the most endangered species of primates in the world. Now, this was proposed as a reserve in early 2000. You know how the government machinery moves. Slowly the machinery moves. So, we did this. Kumara did a lot of work. You would go to Bangalore, take chief wildlife warden, take conservators, and take them to those places, show them that look, this is the place and this is the importance of this place. We kept giving reports, more and more reports. And finally, in 2011, Government of Karnataka issued a notification and intent, because that's the procedure. First you can't establish an area as a wildlife sanctuary because there will be objection from people. There have to be public hearings. They are always done in the office of the DFO. So in 2011, Karnataka Forest Department issued a notification that they intend to declare about 300 square kilometers in Sharavati Valley as lion-tailed macaque sanctuary. Then public hearings were conducted. And whether because if there are people have certain rights for grazing, people have certain rights for pure wood collection or some minor forest produce collection. If the area is a sanctuary, all these things have to stop. So local people, for example, can have their own complaints. So this process goes on and on and on. This is how slowly the machinery works. And we also kept putting more and more pressure. So they said 299 square kilometers, and to our great delight, in 2019, 900 square kilometers of entire Sharavati sanctuary has been declared as lion-tailed macaque reserve. So this is with the title of the lion-tailed monkey. So it is now called Sharavati Valley lion-tailed macaque. 930 square kilometers of total Aganashni, and between Sharavati and Aganashni rivers, Aganashni in the north and Sharavati in the south, the whole area in between, 930 square kilometers now, has been declared as the lion-tailed macaque sanctuary. And then the second problem which we have is that some of these areas, they have highways. The highways have been built through these forest areas and high power electric lines. So these have broken the canopy. The lion-tailed macaques are canopy living organisms, the monkeys. We never used to see them coming down except now in some place where they hardly go up. And now, see, these monkeys don't come down. They are totally arboreal. They are totally living, tree-living animals. Even their water requirements are met in the trees only because they live in rain forest, which is a wet forest. So these these canopies have opened up. The road, for example, you see the highway going through. Now these monkeys can't jump from one side to another. So this was one problem. So this was, these are canopies. The monkeys had to come down. I don't want to show the picture. The monkeys run over by trucks and buses and so on. The monkeys were killed. For us, even one monkey dies, lion-tailed monkey. It's a crisis. It means so much to us. So this one, Anand is here now. This Nature Conservation Foundation in Mysuru. This was the job done by NCF with Tamil Nadu Forest Department. A simple experiment. Simple, very common sense. You try around and load. Even the ladder made out of local materials. Okay, just put it there, put the ladder. The monkeys were reluctant to come, and they would come and touch and go, and it took quite some time that these monkeys got used to it. And slowly now, you see this, there's the bus running there, the monkeys are using this canopy. Okay, now, so this canopy bridge now has become an important concept for all primates. They are being used in Assam for gibbons. They are being used in Malaysia now, for example. More sophisticated materials are available. We will see all these local materials here. So more durable materials for example, for gibbons brachiate. So they need to hang on to it, and their heavyweight or apes. So they need very different kind of materials. So now our job as scientists is to identify which are the critical places where we need to establish canopy bridges. How to establish canopy bridges? Now NCF. Poor fellows cannot even pay monthly salary properly to the research staff. So these are not jobs for research organizations or research individuals. Now the department has to take over. This is the job done by studies by the scientists. Now the department has to take over, the government has to take over this, and which they are doing in several places. So this was canopy contiguity. And now, as I showed you, that most of these are fragments, forest fragments. So the next step is to link the canopies. Next is to link the fragments, the forest fragments which are used. By the way, this is what Arun did for movement of elephants. He has recognized, he has known some animals from date of birth, and today they are 25 years old. And they are known, all individuals have been identified. Every animal, those elephant herds are known where they are. And all these individuals are recognized. And day and night, these elephants have been followed, and their locations are known. So they are also using these forest fragments. Cows are using, cows is Indian bison. All animals are using these fragments. So here now the line-tailed macaque is working as a sort of what we call a umbrella species. The conservation of this will help the conservation of many other species. So there was one master student, Anita. She went and walked around these fragments. All these fragments, sometimes there are hidden places. There are these small streams, hollows. And okay, she walked all these places where these fragments can be linked. And she mapped all those, and she found as a sampling area, certain places only three these estates, that only 195 hectares was required. And since these are private lands, 195 hectares no big deal for forest department to buy, even if they have to buy this land. So if they can establish these, they can link these forest fragments. Line-tailed monkeys would disperse, and all other animals would use these corridors. Now the question is, okay, you say you link these forest fragments. Okay, link with what? What traditionally people have been growing there? Eucalyptus, Acacia planiformis, or Acacia nilotica, or all those kinds of trees which have come there. Again, what kind of trees we require? They should be native to the Western Ghats. They should not be the trees which are exotic. They should have a fast growth. They should provide good shade for coffee plantation, because some of these areas are in the coffee plantation. Roots should be used by these animals. And which are those trees? Nature Conservation Foundation has a full list of these are the trees, okay, which can be used for linking forest fragments. But now the next question: can you grow these trees? Next, I am going to show you here is what Nature Conservation Foundation has done. It's one of the best field experiments I create in the world. I have seen enough conservation practices in Africa, all over, in Malaysia, Indonesia, these places. What kind of conservation work is done? One of the best field experiments that some years ago, Tata Finlay Estate gave a small plot, they are degraded plot like this to Nature Conservation Foundation to do experimental ecological restoration. The seeds were collected here and there, all these native trees, and nursery was established. And Anand would have a lot of photographs of those nurseries. I also have, but I don't have time. So these plants were raised there and planted. And this is in 2002. This you see that degraded plot, and plantation was done. This is how it became in 2006, and this is how it became in 2015. A rainforest almost completely regenerated. And this one now in 2019, this is anomaly benchmark. Okay, but benchmark these thousands of year old forest, and this is their restoration site. I don't see much of a difference. Give another 15 years, you won't know the difference between the two. Okay, so now look at this. The fragments are identified which need to be linked. The places where they can be linked are identified and mapped. What trees can be grown there are identified and given. The list is ready. Can you grow those trees? The experiment which took 20 years to do. The experiment has been done over 20 years and shown yes you can do. Now you do it. Now it is the government and the forest department which has to take over from here. The painstaking works done by the scientists. So this is what we call the linking of canopies and linking of forest fragments. Let me now quickly come to the monkey which is around us, the bonnet monkey. Okay. And please do not ask me the question after my talk, maybe somewhere in the end. Wherever I go, only stop question comes. They're troubling us so much. What to do about these monkeys? Looking at this, tell me later on whether you would ask that kind of a question about these monkeys. This is one monkey which is supposed to be so-called common monkey around us. Okay, it is endemic to South India, etc., etc. There are two subspecies of this. I would just talk about 4 quick points about this monkey. We have this rivers Tapti and Godavari in central India. Most of the ecology of north and south is different. We have SAR dominant forest in the north, we have deep dominant forest in the south, and in the monkeys, for example, there is a monkey called a rhesus monkey, which is in the north, and we have this one monkey which is in the south of this Tapti Godavari rivers. And what has happened is, over some last 40 or 50 years, we have been seeing that some rhesus monkey groups have crossed those rivers. We don't know how, whether they were trapped, some travel monkeys from some urban areas or something by probably the forest department. We don't know. But some monkey groups, rhesus monkeys, have been seen this side of the rivers. Okay. And those monkeys are really big, about 1.5 times, if not more, the size of the bonnet monkeys. And temperamentally, rhesus monkeys are very aggressive monkeys. Now we have 4 temperamental grades. We put the bonnet monkeys in 3rd grade, and rhesus monkeys in the 1st grade. They are very, very aggressive temperamental monkeys. And they have started pushing these bonnet monkeys down. Now one can say this is a natural phenomenon. Some species extend their ranges, and the other species ranges shrink. But this is a matter of concern for us because this bonnet monkey is endemic only to southern India. Rhesus monkey, it is the most widespread primate. It starts from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, China, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. So you can imagine, I mean, this monkey is there all over in so many places. No, it is when it's coming down and shrinking the range of the bonnet macaques, it is a matter of concern for us, and we already know 28,000 square kilometers of area which was known to us was a bonnet monkey area has already been taken over by the rhesus monkeys. So first of all, the so-called bonnet monkey around us is losing its range to the rhesus monkeys. And when we published this, some years back, there's some of these, there are sensational, these magazine news portals called the print, the wire, and then, the mint or something. These are there, I don't pay much attention to those. And they made sensational stories out of this. We published all this, and look the way the wire picked up the story and published. No, scroll in. Look, listen. South India is losing its endemic bonnet monkey to an aggressive invader from the north. I was mentioning to me or something. MP the parliament North India, South India, look at the title which these people have given. South India is losing its endemic bonnet monkey to an aggressive invader from the north. Now, second thing which we have done surveys is these monkeys in forest reserves. Just to show you this slide, it just look 4,788 kilometers we surveyed, and all kinds of forest types. This is just to show that this monkey is very, very small population in the forest areas. Forget about what modeling etc. we have to do. It is just to show that this monkey is not a forest dwelling monkey. Even if you find them somewhere, to go to Manipur, for example, towards Ooty, you will find some 4 or 5 groups. They are all on the roadsides. Go inside the forest. There are no bonnet monkeys. You come from, go from Dimpam. If you are going towards Banari, the Satyamangalam road, you see them sitting on the roadside, and that's what the monkeys are. Those few groups. Nothing inside the forest. You come from Metropolitan to Ooty, for example, on the Noor Road, you find lots of them sitting on the roadside. You go 50 meters inside, you will never find these monkeys because they get some food from people. So these monkeys are simply not forest-dwelling monkeys. This just to show you this slide. So they are not actually forest-living monkeys like the wild monkeys. And then they were mostly found in temples and tourist places. Now we again surveyed in all the Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. We went and surveyed thoroughly 124 these temples and places where the monkeys have been trapped repeatedly. Because there are people in the last 30 years or so, I have seen people have become more and more intolerant of monkeys, and they go and give their complaints. And most of the places these monkeys have disappeared, and monkeys have never been seen again. So they have lost this habitat also. And where else the monkeys were? People of my generation, okay, the youngsters won't know this. These monkeys primarily inhabited roadsides. Whether it's in Tamil Nadu or it's in Telangana or in Karnataka, not so much in Kerala. Kerala doesn't have bonnet monkeys because it's too wet for bonnet monkeys. And most of these monkeys were found only on the roadsides. All these roads were full of these monkeys. And what has happened to them? See, the one thing about any wild species, people have all the time you read in newspapers. आने population जास्ती आता है यार कौन पढ़ेगा? Where are the records available? Leopard population जास्ती आता है जैसा मोटी leopard who has kept the counts? See, you can never make a statement about wild population whether it's increasing or decreasing unless systematic records have been maintained for decades. Otherwise, it's just a nonsense. It is just a guesswork which is totally unscientific and which is actually counterproductive. So, this I started in Mysore way back actually 1974, but systematic in 1989. So I thought, let me map all the groups around Mysore. So all these roads you can see, all these roads, 1,054 kilometers from Mysore, all the highways, plus these radiating roads, that headed the Kote road that from there to Rishabhepur the road goes, and then Kodegada to Samnagar these roads, Kankapura to our Ramnagaram road. See, all because the monkeys were there. So I circled all these roads and mapped all the monkey routes. That time I put it on the map. Now you have all GPS locations. Everything you can just do it, more scientifically, more accurately. So I counted all the monkeys in this place, and this is how these roads were. You can see a monkey group sitting here. This is so beautiful, as I said. My generation people would have known. This is how Mysore Bangalore road was. They had to cut the branches so many times. And near Maddur, there was one kacha tea shop where the so-called non-stop bus used to stop. There was nothing available on the road. And these roads, used to drive motorcycle almost up to Bangalore through shade. And Mysore Uti road, I don't have no problem. Right up, especially after Nanjangud to Hangala, that village, it was so beautiful, all full of banyan trees. This is how full of monkeys and squirrels and birds. Most of these, road. All these roads were like this. And this is where I did the surveys and started counting the monkeys. And first see what has happened to these roads. This is how these highways were. And what? Just 30 years ago. I'm not talking of 100 years ago this happened. This happened just 30 years ago. And when they started widening these roads, this is how it became about 2 decades ago. And this is how it became a decade ago. This is our great pride, E-Express Mysore Bangalore highway. This is what it is now. All the vegetation is gone. Everything, all habitats are gone. And since all habitats are gone, these monkeys died of starvation. And some of them moved to villages where I don't want to, some gory pictures. I have gone to all those villages. They have been beaten by people. They have been given poisons. The monkeys have been killed by people in thousands. And these monkeys, would go sometimes do crop raiding, etc., what we call foraging, where people are just trying to find out food. And these monkeys have been killed and they have died in thousands. This is how. This is near Pandupura. First we kill them. Amale Hardi, the Puja Mari, Hanuman, all these kinds of things which we do there. And this is how what has happened to all these. So these are all kind of recent pictures of these monkeys. Killed by the villagers have seen gunny bags lying on the roadside, and the people who have been arrested poisoning monkeys, and there, where the monkeys are found poisoned and so on. And you forget about this. So these are the roads. You can see all these roads. Okay. So I started surveying all these roads and started these surveys in 1970, 1989, 98, 2003, 2009, 14, 18, 23. Okay, the recent one. But I divided this whole region into 3 different types. One is intensive cultivation. In Mysore, Mandya district or Hassan district, where there is irrigation. And normally, sugarcane and rice paddies. See, in such areas, the monkeys, by 2014, all 100% groups have disappeared. The monkeys are gone. 100% groups have gone. By 2014, there's no monkey left in these areas. And second thing I did was group certain regions called dry cultivation. In Mare colony that they do some agriculture. So rest of the year there is mostly is dry. So only people are more tolerant of the monkeys. But even there also, by 2018, 83% population of the monkeys had gone. And now in the last 5 years, a few groups have come back near Kariyapatna. But Now, because up to just the road which goes to Hassan, we have already 4 lane. Now they have already a plan up to Kushalnagar to make a 4 lane highway. Those few trees also will go, and this few increase which we are so happy to see in the last 2 years, those trees will go and these monkeys will also go. And these monkeys already 69% total decline, and another 2 years I am afraid these monkeys will also go. Most of the areas 100% monkeys have gone. These areas already 69% gone, and most of them are going to go. However, one of the most the best population stability, which you never see any worldwide population, I've seen it in Chamundi. And look from 1989 to 2023, number of groups 777, 8787. And number of monkeys 2010, 206, 266, 246, 209, 251, 238. This gave us the clue where can we conserve these monkeys? Their habitats are gone. Their roadside habitats are gone. Temples, they are not being tolerated anymore. Where to conserve them? This gave us an idea as a sampling place, Chamundi Hill. Why not? We have given the plan already to Karnataka Forest Department. Please declare this as a one Mukab reserve. Don't rush to call it a wildlife sanctuary or anything. That's too big a thing, a national park or something. At least start with, give a legal status. My whole point is, give a legal status to an animal and a legal status to a place where that animal can survive, because we have seen population stability. Now, for the past several years, we are trying to locate in whole of South India, including Telangana, where are such places? Nandi Hill is another place we know, like our Chamundi Hill. Where are these such places where we could map them and present it to the different forest departments in the different states, that please declare these areas for warrant macaques, because in the long run, this monkey is going to become as endangered as the ranted monkey one day. Already I have shown you how many thousands of these monkeys have died, already gone. 100% populations are gone. And this is what is going to happen. And this is what happened to suddenly, an animal species which is supposed to be so abundant. House sparrow, gone one day. Suddenly, really, where are the house sparrows? White-backed vultures everywhere. Really, Janagan and Kalina used to see, 30, 40 white-backed vultures together at one place. Gone. Where have they gone? They simply disappear one day. And that's what can happen to a species like bobber monkeys. So, before we start calling this also an endangered species, special management requirements, why not we do something right now so that we don't see that we don't, let this species reach that stage. So this is what we are doing with the department, with the forest department. Okay, now last 3 or 4 slides, another animal called slender loris. ಇಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಲೋರೆಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಡ್ಪಾಪ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರ ಇದು ಕಾಡ್ಪಾಪ ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಟು ಸೀ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ 1 ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ in the daytime ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ it is just hiding in the tree somewhere. It's a normally forest living animal. Okay, and it is only in the night it comes, and it's so small in size it can sit on your palm. And unlike other monkeys which live in groups, this lives largely solitary. So you can imagine how difficult it is to see that animal night, small in this much in size, okay, active only in the night. And to see this, you have to be there in the nights only. That's what Anandan we started surveys long time ago, whole night in the jungles. But I want to tell these girls here, this you have to work in the forest to do research on these monkeys, this loris. You have to enter the forest at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the night, get out at 7 o'clock in the morning. 3 of my students who have done PhD on the loris, all are girls. These boys, they're so scared of living in the night in the forest. The first one, Sindhu Radhakrishna, she came from Chennai, and Anna Megari, she came from the USA, and now Smita, she is Mysuru University Zoology student, MSc, our own student. And all 3 are girls who have done the PhD on loris, entering there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the night in the forest. And with Sindhu and all, I used to send one forest guard, and he was a villager from that area. Now, no, by 9 o'clock, you would go and sleep. And these girls used to work the whole night, at least they safety that at least so till about 2000 or 2025, nothing was known. Very little, even we people didn't know. Occasionally, somebody used to say, "They are Kadapapa, they know they So what was happening? One day we were going to Anamai Tiger Reserve, our work was going on, Anand was there. Anamai Tiger Reserve, and Kumara, another student of mine. Me and the driver, jeep driver Ravi, we were going, and somewhere in Podachi, somebody told us that in Udmalpet, Ali Pakadali town in the Udmalpet, that there is one fellow, there was a market, local market, that there is a fellow, he has one small monkey, and he's a fortune teller. Now, no, like we do parrots and all, अच्छी हाथी हम लोग, इंग्लिश में तो कुछ लेने के लायक पढ़ते रहे, you know. So I told Kumara, let us go and see. So we went there, and that fellow had left that place. He had gone to some village, a small village close by. We went to that village. So slowly we found his house. You know, we said we want to see this Loris. Only we used to all wear khaki clothes. I was wearing khaki clothes, Ravi driver was wearing khaki clothes, Kumara was wearing khaki clothes, and Jeep had a big, you know, scary board there. Government of India, Ministry of Forest and Environment. And this whole family, you know, they thought they were going to arrest us or something was going to happen. So we didn't know much Tamil. Somehow we managed and talked to that old man. So he had that flourish. And we just want to know, where did you get it? He won't tell us. Why did you want to know? So slowly telling that, no, we want to go and see them. You see it here, only you can see it. Then I said, no, we want to see them in the tree. Sir, you can see it there in the tree, no? You want to see it in the trees. Slowly he told us some village called Puliyampatti, not this Puliyampatti, which is near Bannari, on Satamangalam Road. Another Puliyampatti, that side near Dindigarh. We went to a lodge, we drove. I said, Kumara, let us go to Dindigarh. We went to a lodge. Next day, we went to forest department. Fortunately, a very dynamic Bangalore boy was a forest officer, DFO. He is now the principal chief conservator of forest of Tamil Nadu. He was the DFO there. Very enthusiastic young man. So I went and told him, who we are, etc. We have learned that there are lorises in places close by. And Devangu and all those people, Devangu they call it in Tamil. Where one forest guard, he told slowly, no, I know where these are. So I told Uday, please send this man with us. In the night, in the evening, we put him in the jeep, went to some village. He went and talked to somebody. And that man comes immediately wearing shorts. He put one belt and he had one Java motorcycle battery here, put one wire and put the headlamp here. I told Kumara, we have a gold mine. This man knows he's a hunter and he knows everything. Because Itra, you have to find out. In the forest department, I said, Kumara, this is the fellow. And 13 lorises we saw that night. First time anybody has seen 13 lorises in one night. So we were so thrilled. Next time we went to Udayan. I said, I want to do thorough surveys in this area. He said, okay, I will recommend it. Please write to the chief like water. Immediately from there, I wrote a letter to Chennai. He recommended it. And within 10 days, the permission came. I went to Anand, I picked up Anand and the whole group. We came and started, camping there in Dindigarh. Not in Dindigarh, in some place called Ajaru village where the department gave us some place to stay. All night, we would work. In the morning, 7 o'clock back, and these people by 7:30, and I can't sleep during the day. So I would sit and work and go to forest department, collect some data. First 2 days, 3 days. Now rice I found one medicine. Early morning by 9 o'clock, they start giving rice sambar in Tamil Nadu most places. And rice sambar within half an hour, I would also go to sleep along with them. So we did the thorough surveys, and this was the first time that such fantastic population of loris was found. We did it all types of forest areas, different forest areas, different places. We conducted all these thorough surveys, and Orange is a big journal published from England. So we published this in 1999 and found that this place is fantastic. And like Planted Mugaks gave this proposal to the Forest Department of Tamil Nadu, establish a loris sanctuary. This is a place potential for loris sanctuary. After that, I put these two students, Sindhu and Anna, to do PhD work there. And they sent somebody, some ACF came, he spent some 50 days, I'm writing a management plan, and he would consult and read our reports, etc. So process has been going on and on and on and on. And this is the kind of forest these are. Interspersed with some villages here and there. And this is the picture of loris. And this is what you find in these areas. So we published this first in 1999 and then continued interacting with Tamil Nadu Forest Department. Later on in 2021, Kumara now, my former student, he is now a principal scientist in Salvary Center in Coimbatore. So the Tamil Nadu Forest Department again asked for a place. These were the areas which we had originally mapped. And we had mapped these areas, all except these. This is in Kadur. So original areas and plus some more areas were included in this. So again, this whole thing was given to Forest Department in 2021. Okay, and once again to our delight, in last year, 12th October 2022, the first Loris century was declared by Tamil Nadu Forest Department. This book, you can read the official order. This is for the protection and propagation of nearly threatened private species, namely slender loris, the first century established for slender loris. So, this is, I think, just last two slides. Just to get back to the animals which live in forest, the animals which are commensal, which live close to people. Certain very typical things about these animal species. The animals which live in forests, they are adapted to very limited habitat types, like lion-tailed macaques. They live only in rainforest. They live only in specific habitat types, but these habitat types are very stable. A rainforest, if we don't interfere, a rainforest can remain stable for thousands of years. So, these animals require a very different kind of management strategy. Many of them are in protected areas. Their basic only fragmentation, linking fragments, linking canopies is the strategy. And on the other hand, the animals which are usually commensal, like bonnet macaque, they live unlike the forest monkeys, which are limited habitats, specialists. These animals live in a whole variety of habitat types. They can be in forest, they can be in temple, they can be in tourist place, they can be in city, they can be in a mall, they can be in a village, they can be on the roadside. But most of these habitats are highly unstable. You don't know what can happen to these habitats anytime. So compare the forest populations, limited habitats but highly stable habitats. Here, a whole variety of habitat types, but largely unstable habitats. You don't know what would happen to them. So these animals require totally different kind of management strategies. These are two strategies which we have talked about the monkeys, but these kind of strategies now, as I said, you take for example, Nilgiri langur is a forest-dwelling monkey. Hanuman langur is largely living outside. And those like white dogs are normally forest-dwelling animals. Wolf normally lives in farmlands and rocky areas, which is close to people commensal areas. So likewise, we have so many species which are forest dwellers, so many species which are commensal. So different kinds of management strategies can be developed or need to be developed for these different kinds of species. Now, this is just to show you photographs of this is the work done by most of the people here. This is Anand, this is my wife Nirmala. She has been also working on lion-tailed monkeys. This is Kumara, who has done so much work. And these are all people, so many people have come from abroad in our field stations to get 3 months training, 6 months training, 3 years PhD work, 5 years PhD work, 7 years PhD work, and postdoc work. Foreigners, I'm telling you. It has been a very popular field station for people to come from so many different countries. So people have been coming from different countries. This is Anna Nakara said Sindhu, second and third, there who did PhD work on the Loris. So these are all people who have been doing this work for all these years. All this is my research group, and we work on rhesus monkeys, lion-tailed monkeys, elephants, long-tailed monkeys, large mammals, border monkeys, rodents, bats, lorises, lagoons, dogs, snakes, squirrels, bears, wolves, foxes, and so on. And all these are the people who have been doing all this work. I thank them all, and thank you very much. I think I overshot for 2 minutes.
No problem. Sir, rhesus monkey photo ennadia? Rhesus monkey photo ennadia?
ಅಯ್ಯೋ ರಿಸಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಬರೀ ರಿಸಸ್
ಅಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಇನ್ವೈಡರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ ನೋಡೋಣ
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದ್
available we can get.
even we have this mobile. I don't have it with me present. It's a monkey with a much shorter tail and very happy monkey.
ಸರ್ ಅದೇ ತುಂಬಾ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಮಂಕಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದಿರಲ್ಲ ನೀವು. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್? ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುವಂತ ಇಕೋಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅದರ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಯಾವುದು effect of?
ಇವಾಗ you said they tried because our habitat to.
You see, this is a totally different story now. To get into this, what is the role of animal species in an ecosystem? But the simple thing is that the monkeys are basically the seed dispersers. Excellent studies have been conducted in areas. For example, there's one PhD work recently done. In the forest areas, the plots seen where the monkey groups are, and the plots where the monkey groups are not there. The regeneration rates are much higher where the monkey groups are, because they eat roots and they disperse the seeds. One of the major roles they play important roles in an ecosystem is the seed dispersal. But anyway, it's a simple thing. Is an ethical question. It's a simple moral question. Those animals have the same right to live as we have. So we cannot be the judges, but to cause extinction of any animal species. So we find a lot of other ecological values for this. But the simple thing is because it is we who have caused the extinction of their habitats. We have degraded or finished their habitats. It is we who are responsible for all this. So they have as much right to live as we have. Although their role in
What is the
ecosystem
effect on the ecosystem ಮೇಲೆ ಏನು effect
are the same. Seed dispersal, for example, one thing. A seed dispersal ಆಗೋದು yeah. In you see it in the forest areas. Nimal, you have something to say about it about Anand, about the way sewage and all are dispersing seeds. Even the coffee plantations coming in different places in the Cardarli. How much role these animals play there in the forest areas. You don't have to do the plantation; they are doing it.
Yeah,
The animals are doing it.
that's a part of the ecological.
Do any or all of these 5 species that you mentioned?
Hmm?
Do any or all of these 5 species of monkeys that you mentioned, do they pass the mirror test? Mirror test. Do they pass the mirror test?
Mirror test. Do they pass mirror test? Can they identify self?
This is a very tricky question. How would you know whether they recognize themselves or not? Now, simple thing is we did all this. First time what I saw was on my motorcycle. The monkeys. There is a small temple in the agricultural university of Bharvediya. There is a small temple. There was a big group of monkeys. That was my study group. And it split into two. It went to the village. Now that highway road is going somewhere else totally. And everybody used to, there's a plantation on the side. The monkey would come sometimes sit on the motorcycle, juvenile, the rear view mirror. They keep on doing like this. So the monkey is actually thinking that there is another monkey behind. Now all these experiments have been done. First it was seen in a chimpanzee. There was a chimpanzee called Washoe. This was a hand-reared chimpanzee. Okay, but it was a social chimpanzee with some other chimpanzee also. But that chimpanzee, but they took photographs. The whole video was being recorded. They were arranged by a private family. Animal behaviorists. That chimpanzee would go. Sometimes, like some guests have come. The chimpanzee would slowly step in, like they're busy. It will go and hide somewhere in the kitchen and pick up some bananas. And one day that chimpanzee just saw there's a big mirror. The chimpanzee saw itself and started looking at it, etc. And then what these people did, they put some black color on the nose. Next time the chimpanzee Washoe went there, the monkey's hand will go there, there's something funny is there. And her went to the nose. Her tail went to the nose. Now this tells you fantastic things. Look now, the monkey now knows it is me I am seeing there. The finger goes to her own nose and not to the mirror there where something funny is done. Now this is not only this recognition of self in monkeys, this is shown in common crows. I did this PhD thesis evaluation, student of one Professor Vinod Kumar in Delhi University in zoology department. They did this same experiment on crows. Okay, and the crows were shown the mirror, etc. All crows, and some crow was put, a dot here. And all crows were put so that the chemical is known. It is not the chemical which is the sensation. All crows were put there, all experimental crows were put that dot. But it was transparent. In others, the chemical was used. Okay, the where the white dot was put there, the crow just goes and she there and just start rubbing that with the beak. Now, look at this now. The crows once suddenly see something, it is seeing it here in the body. Now the question comes: suppose the crow was raised in total social isolation, would the crow know this? Is consciousness or self-consciousness or awareness of oneself, is it a product of our social living? And first, social awareness, I know myself because I know you. First, suppose I had not known you, I couldn't know myself. So the next theory is, suppose we raise these crows, etc., in total social isolation, or a monkey in a total social isolation, would they know themselves in a mirror? Probably not. Because now a crow has seen something here. Now crow knows that it should not be there because he has seen other crows. It is not there in those crows. But this crow is seeing itself and then putting it there. So probably, this needs to be tested, but these experiments are because of some ethical reasons. We cannot conduct this now. I mean, why? It's so cruel to raise monkeys. I want to raise 6 monkeys in total social isolation from birth. Then when they become at least 3-4 years old, I do these experiments. Now these will not be allowed. I am the chairman of ethics committee myself. Okay, I won't allow these experiments to be done. So these experiments need to be done in different ways, but sure, most animals have this recognition of self. But how it comes by or something which requires a lot of science to do.
From my side, one question. See, we talk a lot about citizen science basically. So how do we involve citizens in this kind of researches where we have commensal organisms? Say it could be feral dogs, that is street
See,
dogs.
one initiative has already been taken, citizen science. You can ask Anand about this whole thing and see if it's doing for the birds. The bird initiative has been taken throughout the nation and it has produced fantastic results, I tell you. The kind of data which has come, people simply all have to enter those data. And the maximum is there in Kerala. There are those registers kept with panchayats. People just go and enter those things in those reports. So citizen science is now becoming very popular. Everybody, and there are ways. I mean, Suhail can give this talk from Nature Conservation Foundation. There are different ways to check the correctness of the data. Somebody says tomorrow, "No, Nagarhodal with chimpanzee no." Okay. So, there are ways to check everything. It's only when it is definite that some unusual thing is reported. There are so many checks on it. Only then the checks are first applied, and then if still stands those checks, only then those things are reported. So a lot of the role of the citizens in this thing, and it will probably pick up more and more.
Yep.
Anand, you have something to say about it?
Yeah, I just want to add, for elephants in Kerala, we have actually requested all these auto drivers and bus drivers, if they come across elephants. We requested them to share photographs. They started sharing all things. So that way that is get to know where elephants are distributed, how many males are there, birds are there, those kinds of things. So it's a good involvement assets.
Yeah, why I asked this question is, pardon me for asking second question. The thing is, elephants are a different ballgame. They are basically their habit is different. But whereas the commensal organisms like the feral dogs, we still don't know much about them. Even squirrels, for example. And how do we involve citizens?
A lot of work is done now. There is a whole series of at least 50 research papers on street dogs in Calcutta. One of my students published fantastic 2 papers, one in behavior and one in animal behavior, which is again top journal, Mangalam. He did his master's thesis with me. He was studying in Pune, in Indian Institute of Science Education and Research, ISL, Pune. But they allowed him to do his master's thesis with me. And he studied street dogs. Lot of work is being done on street dogs. There is one professor, Anindya Bhadra. She is there in Calcutta, in ISL Calcutta. She and Manavi Pal, her student, and their students, and they have now a whole series of papers. They work only on street dogs.
We are trying to get her here. Okay.
Yes, she
Any
is
other
from
questions?
Bangalore.
So this about all these about monkeys is an abstract image in the human space. What we are thinking, rather than the environment and ecology conservation, we are most fascinated fascinated about creating images and other thing about instead of saving these animals, we just blow up to the lot of image. That's the way we as human are doing it. My question is about
The
our
question,
animals.
what is the question?
So basically, we worship animal, but we are not bothered about their whatever survival instincts and other environment. So are we more as a human about image oriented? We collect a lot of images, videos, see and worship and do a lot of things. But real down into earth,
Now you
we are not
saying-
at all bothered about even when he was talking about I did not like dogs because my childhood had twice bitten by a dog. But when I shifted to Jayanagar last 1.5 years, I had a street dog which was hit by a Luna, sorry, scooter. And now we are having, I am now fond of that street dog. So I'm in the street dog now from past 1.5
Yes,
years.
what do you do?
No, it's not a question, it has become a
You
luxury.
see, one thing you must understand about animal behavior. These problems that we have with dogs, with monkeys, okay, in urban areas, etc. These are all human created problems. All. I'm telling you all. 100% are human created problems. Let me give you an illustration which has been recorded by BBC. It took several years to record. In Varanasi, there's a place where some community people, they cook some food. They actually hire cooks. They go and feed the monkeys. They go in a car, feed the monkeys, which I've seen in Mandor Gardens, in Jodhpur, in many places in Delhi. And there are some beggar children. And though the beggar children ask for food, they don't give them the food. They give the food to monkeys and they go away. And these children, they beat up the monkeys, chase them, and they steal the food from those monkeys. Over the years, the monkeys have developed this aggressive behavior towards a particular age children. Now, if you are going for a walk in the morning with that age child, a monkey comes and attacks. And where is the genesis of the problem? The genesis of the problem lies totally somewhere else. Now the PA say these monkeys are a nuisance. They are attacking children. Why are they attacking the children? That movie, which took 6 years to shoot, shows this whole thing. And this is what exactly the problem is that look, all animals which live in social groups, they have a hierarchical system. So monkeys live in a typical hierarchical system. Okay. And the most important thing for an animal in the wild is the food. First thing is the food. And they don't think that there is such kind of altruism in the animal world. It is me for myself. And if sometimes the mother is hungry, we have seen snatching the food with the finger out of her infant's mouth. Some, the food. That is first thing is food for me. And these studies which we do, for example, the dominance to give some food to a subordinate monkey, to put the food there. If the dominant monkey is sitting close by, a subordinate monkey should not nodella, because if that fellow tries, he will get beaten up by the dominant monkey. Okay. And that fellow doesn't even look at the food. So there is so much of a hierarchy. Now, in the language of a monkey, in their own perceptual system, when somebody is giving them food, it is the most subordinate, lowest ranking animal in their group, who's giving the food. Okay, now when people give the food, they are the lowest ranking individuals in the monkey's perceptual system. And now you give the food, next somebody is going with 2, 3 bananas, and the monkey, what a stupid fellow, it's supposed to give it to me. It's not given. It's supposed to give it to me. So the monkey goes and attacks and snatches it. See, this is the whole genesis of the problem. I was there in South University giving a talk. The students came, the girls. Sir, the monkeys are, troubling us in the hostel. So I went there, and the hostel cooked food. They cooked a bin outside there, and they cooked that bin there. When cooked food is available, why then they would go searching for something? Then nicely cooked food is available. I told them that put it in here, lid here, close it. Apparently, after 6 days, the monkeys disappeared. When there was nothing for them to eat there. Same thing, feeding animals, whether these are street dogs or these monkeys, etc., it is illegal. Even legally, it is wrong. You are not allowed to feed. Because forget about the legal part, but scientists I'm telling you, the kind of behavior, aggressive behavior which develop in these animals, and they become highly dangerous. And in Delhi University, when you go to the airport early mornings, and often in Delhi University, there is a Aravalli Ridge. That's where Aravalli Hills almost end. On the ridge, there are lots of monkey groups there. And there are police people appointed there in the morning, people come in cars. You see so many cars parked, and they all give bribe to police people. And they all will be feeding monkeys. And the whole day they complain that the monkeys are troubling us. First you do all this, and then you start complaining that the monkeys are troubling us. All these are human created problems. We can solve these problems like this. That's what I told in the beginning. Please don't ask me these questions. Please. First of all, these monkeys are facing very serious problem.
No, my question is
Themselves.
images. It's like towards animals, is image right rather than to care for them.
So many of these problems with these animals are created by us. Especially, feeding these dogs. We feel, it is actually cruel, making them dependent on us. We are killing them. Feeding these monkeys, making them dependent on us and reproduce so much because of this eating cooked food and then not finding food. It is actually cruelty. We think that we are, passionate about animals. We are, doing something good for, for some life on this earth. Actually, we are doing wrong for them. We are actually killing the monkeys by making them dependent on us. So is with the dogs.
Basically,
Any animal, making them dependent on us rather than foraging for their natural foods is killing them.
basically animals are wild. I mean, they used to exist on their own in wild places.
Yes.
We have made the difference.
When we showed that slide of the population of Jamuni Hills, it was apparent that your sampling number was coming to around 280 each time. So one thought that just came to me, it's not a question, it's a thought. The
Please repeat the question. I'm
So
hearing it, even then I'm a little hard of hearing.
okay, when you showed the slide on Jamuni Hills, it was apparent that the sampling number that was coming up, it was 260 or so, correct? And so my the thought.
0.37, the decimal was there, all it was coming.
Yeah, it stabilized around between 280 to 300. Yes.
So the thought that came to me was it's probably the carrying capacity of some deals.
This is how do you know carrying capacity? See, the different ways of knowing carrying capacity is very, very cumbersome way. What are the animal's caloric requirements? How much calories are available in a forest? It's not an easy thing to do to establish the carrying capacity. But isn't this carrying capacity from over 30 years of data, seeing so much of stability of a population is indirectly telling us the carrying capacity. That this is the carrying capacity of this ecosystem.
Yeah, the observation I wanted to share was in the trouble we have in our house, we don't see a specific pattern of a monkey moving other thing. It's always like there is a moving population. So one thought that I had was maybe these monkeys are kind of overbreeding near Jamuni Hills and they are diffusing westwards from the Jamuni Hills.
Where do they go? Except regulated market, one group which visits the regulated market that side. Very good over.
Every day it's in the morning, sometimes around this area.
There are different groups.
There are monkeys going.
Yeah, there are different groups. You see what happens, another fallacy which happens is sometimes, the monkey group is caught from somewhere. Okay, after some 1 month or so, monkeys come there. People say, only Bandipura will be which is stupid thing to do first of all, because these monkeys carry so many pathogens, from urban areas. They are not supposed to release them in protected areas like Bandipur. Even if they are released somewhere else, okay, which is a different protocol which we have written, what should be done with the monkeys. We are working closely with the forest department. Actually, for the Karnataka Forest Department, the protocol is written by me and Kumara. What is to be done with the urban monkeys? So, these people, the monkeys are trapped from somewhere. Why the monkeys are there? There are habitats which are prime. There are habitats which are marginal. Now you trap these monkeys from here. Nobody knows them individually like I know, or like another knows his elephants. These monkeys are trapped. They are left somewhere 50-60 kilometers. There is another monkey group in a marginal habitat. Now the prime habitat where the food is much better food is available, a temple or some other place. Slowly a marginal habitat in another monkey group comes to these prime habitat. People think, oh monkey group वापस कर दिया 60 kilometers का वापस कर दिया 60 kilometers ला कर दिया पकड़ तो the marginal habitat only. That monkey group comes there. So these monkeys are, these animals. We have to see what kind of habitats they live in. They are natural kind of habitats. So trapping these monkeys, etc. Also, This also now, the monkeys, the forest department lost trapping monkeys. They told me that they have trapped 800 monkeys and left them somewhere else. No, we have given a very different kind of protocol. Actually, I went there one day, took the chief wildlife warden, I went with the chief wildlife warden, Gobi saw that thing, and other forest department went to Balagata and all. We have written now a protocol, what is to be done with the monkeys in Bangalore. And that's a totally different story. But I don't want to get into this, how to form local communities, a local municipal representative, a range forest officer, find out what the trouble is, whether there is a trouble, and if it is a typical urban monkey group, what to do with it. We have identified several cages. We are now developing 3 movable bands to sterilize those monkeys, and they will be trapped, they will be sterilized, and then they will be kept with circus animals were confiscated. Up Nergatanalli, tomorrow enclosures there. Those animals are dead and gone. Circus animals, they are lying empty. So those monkeys, we have recommended those monkeys can be kept there and people can feed them. If they are so Hanuman bhakts, let them go and feed those monkeys there because so expensive for the department to maintain those monkeys. So slowly they would die because they will be sterilized and not to release them in the forest areas or anywhere. And if the monkeys are some crop-breeding monkeys, if there is a recurrent problem, we have a different management strategy for them. That they also will be trapped, but they will be, some number of animals will be tested for pathogens, and then we would decide where to release them. But never in, for example, in national parks, some other buffer zones or something where these animals can be released. So there are different management strategies which we write for all this.
Sir, how do you deal with the street dogs? Is feeding them is good or what do you think, sir? What do you feel?
You see how much food they get, how much food they get from people. If people stop giving them food, they would go find out some place where they can live. Every problem is created by us. Now some monkey, some poor dog comes and in this let us give some food. And this is what it is. No, the dog will come there only.
The COVID time was a typical example. Everybody started feeding the street dogs during the COVID, saying that they will not get food. And then within 1 year, the population increased like this. Mysuru is full of stray dogs now after COVID.
See, this is what is happening in monkeys also. In temples, in the Jaku temple, they are a big problem.
Oh.
See, in this place in Himachal, these orchards and all, I mean, the farmers really had a problem because the monkeys in that state, our initial estimate was 3.5 lakh monkeys. So the chief wildlife warden one day calls me from Himachal Pradesh. Please help us. Please do something. So Kumara and me, we went there to Shimla. We trained the whole forest department of Himachal Pradesh how to conduct systematic census of monkeys first, how to do population assessment of Hanuman lagoons and rhesus monkeys throughout the state. We went to each circle. We talked to people. I talked to them in Hindi, trained the local level officers, and then they had already started doing some sterilization. So 9 sterilization centers are there. So we gave the protocol again that the monkey group has such, the group has to be trapped. They are sterilized, especially all the females are sterilized, and they have to be released back. How many times they would be released back also is again a problem. Only villages will be standing with the danda. You trap them from here. Let us see how you come back here to release them back. So sometimes they are released in the night. These are all field problems. So there is a different management strategy. So they have to be sterilized. And even then, see now population from the time sterilized, now we are doing assessment regular in Himachal Pradesh. In the last 10 years, after all this started, the population is reduced by nearly 1.5 lakh monkeys naturally. No, people said in the beginning 6 months one. वो जितने मंत्र पहले थे उतने ही we sterilize them, we are not killing them. The effect will be seen after several years. On their reproduction. So now the population has reduced by 1.5 lakh monkeys.
Okay. If there are no questions.
Okay, thank you very much again.
I think missing India-Pakistan match was better.
Anyway, I don't think nothing much will be happening because Pakistan except Babar Azam, I saw the score while coming. Except Babar Azam who made 50 runs, left 2, 3, 5. Now Rizwan made 36. So 197 they were all out.
If it were a logical extension by what Dr. Singh has been speaking, the government shouldn't offer freebies also. They get it free, why would they work?
First of all, we should not build highways. We should stop building roads and highways so that people will stop moving. Because we have roads, we are moving. We should stop building the roads. We should stop building the bullet trains.
Freebies.
Before going to that, we should stop all the
You see once again, there are those what we call armchair conservationists. No, armchair conservation is very easy to sit in Bangalore and talk about Anaya protection, Kodi and Kodi. You go to Gudalpet and see a family of 1 acre land, half acre land. The whole family is dependent on it.